This is I guess they're going to discuss some of the fallout from Trump's China trip. The title says, just in, Taiwan president responds to Trump's historic China visit. That's kind of what I hope to learn about. Although Fox News, not even just Fox News, honestly, all of these news channels, they clickbait the hell out of me all the time, where they put Taiwan in the title, but then they talk about a bunch of other shit. So, but yeah, I want to hear what the Taiwan president has to say about this. I also want a quick fact check on myself from the other day when I was talking about Taiwan. I mean, I had talked about the statistics of like who is the percentage who are in support of independence versus status quo versus like who want to peacefully reunify or whatever. I think that the stats that I was looking at weren't up to date or anything, and like I think the most recent ones have the people who just want status quo at about 60%. So I did want to do a quick fact check on myself on that one. But okay, let's go ahead and let's watch this video. Let's see what the Taiwanese president has to say.
Now to the White House, where Alex Hogan is reporting live for us. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Rich. So the president telling Iran the clock is ticking in that new Truth Social that you mentioned earlier, indicating that hostilities could resume if there is no deal between the U.S. and Iran. This also comes as other countries are reacting and responding to the president's historic meeting with China that he returned from earlier this weekend, with today the president holding a phone call with the South Korean president to discuss some of the ins and outs of that meeting. And in Beijing, President Trump says that he and Chinese President Xi Jinping discussed Taiwan. That was a large focus in that pending $14 billion arms sale to Taiwan. And
the Chiron says, discuss Taiwan arms package with China's Xi.
Great detail. Those words sparking speculation. Today, Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te says that everyone there is concerned about the issue. Lai Ching-te said that while Taiwan will not provoke China or escalate the conflict, it will not give up its sovereignty or
What'd she just say? It will not. Sorry, I'm immature. That's why you watch me that.
Provoke China or escalate the conflict. It will not give up its sovereignty or free will and free way of life, nor will it be sacrificed. Now, White House officials today are also reacting to.
Says Taiwan's president says not giving up sovereignty. Yeah, I mean, look, Taiwan, like I said, the stats are like 60% want the status quo, but I think the people who want to reunify with China are the vast majority, or the vast minority, like the 20% or so, I think. But most people just want the status quo with when it comes to China and Taiwan. I talked about it a little bit the other day, but I do think that Taiwan, like, the best option, like I'm telling you, you do not want to be a pawn in America's imperial games against China. Because like if you look at like what happened to Ukraine, like generations of men are just like gone. Like they've blown through, they have sent like entire generations of men into the meat grinder, and they will like just never to come back again. Like it's not good, and America doesn't give a shit about the Ukrainian people. America doesn't give a shit about the Ukrainian soldiers who went in to fight against Russia. They only care about how much they are able to destabilize Russia, and they don't care what cost it comes at. So again, I would say Taiwan, I don't think your best option is to try to militarily saber rattle on behalf of the United States. I think that you should seriously consider what it would look like if you were to actually go into a hot war on behalf of the United States against China. Because look at how little America was able to defend its allies against Iran. And that's Iran, a like lower middle power. Like they're essentially a regional superpower now, but they were just like a lower middle power that America was just unable to defend any of its client states like from. And China is 1,000,000 times stronger than Iran is. So, and I said before also, I don't think China would care that much about Taiwan and reunification if America wasn't constantly using Taiwan as a chess piece, as a bulwark against China, as a military base to put right up against Chinese territory, right? Like, I don't think that they would care as much if it wasn't for that. So, but at this point, I think there's no, you're going to eventually become a part of China, no matter what. Like, I'm just letting you know. If China wants to do it militarily, they can do it militarily. They claim that they just want to do it through peaceful measures. They want Taiwan to essentially be like a Hong Kong style situation where they can have their own independent government, they can have their own independent system, they can still be capitalist or whatever, but they will come under the leadership of China, and like under the officially recognized as a Chinese territory, or like they would claim as a Chinese territory or whatever, you know. So that's my personal opinion on the matter. But anyway, the Taiwanese president and most of the Taiwanese leadership, I would guess, are going to be very, very oppositional to my perspective. But you know, I'm just saying, it's not going to be good for your people if you go down the saber rattling like proxy war route.
That, trying to reassure some of the concerns and fears, saying that the status quo has not changed.
The president was really clear about this. There's no change in American policy on Taiwan.
The visit, of course.
There was no change in policy, but officially. However, there was a change in tone, and there was a change in rhetoric, not just from Trump, but also from Rubio and the various officials who were having discussions around this. They seemed to, in my mind, recognize that it is pointless to saber rattle against China anymore. Historically, the past 10 years or so, I would say, America has been very, very saber rattly towards China. But I think that with the recognition that America's military isn't as strong as we thought it was with Iran and stuff, it has become an impossible task to try to even pretend like America would be able to defeat China in some sort of hot war. And so I think that there's been a very significant change in rhetoric so far, even if they're not officially saying that there's a change in policy.
First focused heavily on trade between the two countries. It also addressed the war in Iran and efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. China is the largest buyer of Iranian oil. And while President Trump says he did not ask President Xi to pressure Iran, there is new fallout today as Democrats call on the administration to end the war.
I don't think we need China's support. I think the fastest way to end the war in Iran is just to stop digging a hole even deeper, and that's what we should do right now. He's gotten into this in this war that's making us less safe. So no, we don't need China to get us out. We just need to end it.
We have not seen.
So I guess what he's advocating for is a unilateral withdrawal, which is probably honestly America's best bet at this point, is a unilateral withdrawal, which would just be a recognition of loss, right? Of failure. But at least under that circumstance, you know, in that circumstance, that would be Iran continues to control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran may continue attacking Gulf state actors if they, if they do anything against them. And America will have essentially retreated somewhat from the region because all of their military bases would have, or not all of them, but a lot of them have been destroyed. A lot of the people who were on all of those military bases were evacuated to hotels, and some are potentially back home now and stuff. I don't really necessarily imagine them being sent back anytime soon. So there is a unilateral withdrawal sort of element to that as well. But I would say that is probably America's best bet from just the American perspective. In terms of getting peace in the region, though, I think having a negotiated settlement with Iran would probably be a better option.
Seeing the president publicly here today, he is currently at his golf course in Virginia, although we do know that the president also spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with that call lasting about 30 minutes.
Are they talking about Iran?
All right, Alex Hogan live for us at the White House today. Alex, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to skip some of the Iran discussion because I already talked a lot about Iran in the last video. This Chiron says Trump returns from high stakes summit. So let's see if they talk more about the Beijing summit, any more fallout from it in the rest of this video.
With China also.
Well, we are, but I mean, we also.
And in years past, has the U.S. really accomplished much in these massive summits? It seems like we're continually talking about the same issues with China also.
Well, we are, but I mean, we also had that in the 70s and 80s when we were dealing with the Soviets, and Ronald Reagan was perfectly willing to go to Reykjavik and other places to meet with Chairman Gorbachev, and that kept us from getting into a conflict. And we had a big report come out from Heritage this year, Rich, called Tidal Wave, and it's our first AI-based report. Really fun. Anyone who wants to geek out, it's on heritage.org. But the
Okay, Heritage sucks, by the way. The Heritage Foundation, that's where a lot of the shittiest policies that we have to live through now, that's where a lot of it, that's the think tank that a lot of it gets funneled through. And now I guess they're doing AI policy papers. Dear God.
First AI-based
Just
report.
kill me
really
now.
Fun. Anyone who wants to geek out, it's on heritage.org. But the key finding that was consistent across all the AI platforms was a war between the United States and China is a 10% blow to the global GDP. That's global recession, if not depression. We want to avoid that if we can by reasonable means without appeasing.
Dude. No, that is copium to the max. A 10%? No. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. So you're seeing the ramifications of Iran shutting down 20% of the world's energy supply right now. It's doing. There's shortages in Asia. There's shortages in some Latin American countries and stuff like it, and Americans gas prices are going up higher and higher. And we haven't even hit like the worst of it, where there's actual like outages, like where stockpiles run out, and then you have to like shut down the facilities that are holding them and stuff, like where it takes years to get them back up and running. Like we're and like then there's also like the fertilizer, which will then impact food prices in the future. Like all of these things happen because of 20% of the energy to the world being shut down by Iran. Now I want you to imagine if China, like the manufacturing hub of the world, where every single thing in your house that you have right now was either manufactured or parts of it were manufactured in China. I want you to imagine now that China decides to shut that down. They decide to shut down any export of any of these small parts, any of these technologies, like critical magnets or minerals or whatever, like shuts down all of this to the vast, anybody who is aligned with America. Let's say, like we'll say America, the EU, maybe Japan, South Korea, like all of these countries no longer get all of the stuff that China produces. God help us. It's not going to be a 10% GDP drop. It's going to be a international economic collapse, the likes of which we have never experienced. Like imagine the Great Depression in America, but like multiplied like tenfold and then across the entire world. Like it would be like the banking, the 2008 financial crash, except 1,000 times worse, and like it would impact everybody, man. It would be crazy. So that's like and she's not even talking about the fact that like militarily, like how little America would be able to do against China anyway. It's not like America can produce its tools of death without China. Like it needs China to do that. And also America produces like 20 missiles a year, whereas China can produce unlimited missiles per year because they have state capitalism, and we just have private bureaucrats just stealing all this super profits off the top of like Raytheon or whatever. It's no question that we would lose, but then also the international implications to the world economy are like they would be insane.
China. That's why these summits are important, and we can hopefully get to a resolution of China similar to what happened with the Soviet Union.
We hear so much speculation as to when or if China will move on Taiwan. What do you think about that? And what do you think would make China less likely to move on Taiwan?
I think that we have to say when, because it is probably self-delusional to say if, and that's another part of this tidal wave. And the way to do it is you deter China. You make sure that
this is stupid. This is just them projecting America, like how America would feel and like what America would do about Taiwan if they were in China's shoes. China doesn't want to engage in a military action to take Taiwan. They would prefer for Taiwan to just like accept and like negotiate and be like, yes, we will be a part of China, and we will have our own independent government. Like that's what China wants. They are gung ho though. These people are gung ho on making it seem. Oh, thank you. Making it seem like China is just can't wait to militarily go in and take Taiwan. Guess what? If China wanted to militarily go and take Taiwan, they could do it right now. They could have done it like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like they have the capabilities to do it. They just don't want to. Also, China feels like the status quo actually benefits them. The longer they wait, the more decline America the more America declines and the less capable America becomes, the more misadventures America gets into, the more bogged down they get into, the more overstretched they get. From China's perspective, waiting as long as possible is definitely ideal. But yeah. And the ideal, again, I think their ideal situation would be America would be so battered, so incapable, so openly unable to defend Taiwan that they would just give up their rhetoric about saying they'll defend Taiwan and just stop sending them missiles and stop stop trying to start a proxy war between them. That's a big if. I don't really trust America to ever make a smart decision when it comes to their imperialist ambitions, but yeah.
United States is as strong as it can be. That's why the president's 1.5 trillion.
Let's go back in here from the beginning.
This tidal wave. And the way to do it is you deter China. You make sure the United States is as strong as it can be. That's why the president's 1.5 trillion.
Well, then he's failing. He's failing. He's the great nation builder of China. That's what Donald Trump is, the great nation builder of China.
Defense, or rather war budget that he submitted is so very important. This is a historic commitment to the United States military. And bear in mind, that's what President Reagan did too. He built up so quickly, with SDI, missile defense, that the Soviets couldn't match it. And they wound up destroying their own economy. And so I think that's the kind of much more peaceful route, peace through strength.
So you're saying, what are you saying? You're saying that we need to build up our missile supplies so much that or build Taiwan's missile supplies so much that China won't do anything? How? How? We just went through 50% of them in 6 weeks of war. How are you going to do that? America is incapable of producing anything. It sucks at producing its stuff. That's one of our main things, is that we're terrible at producing things. So I don't know, man. That's just even if it were the case that would actually deter China in any meaningful way, it's still a fantasy world that's just not possible. America is incapable of producing stuff
that the president wants to pursue, and you deter China. You make Taiwan just not something desirable, not something that they want to get involved in. And so that's what I would very strongly recommend.
And bringing things now closer back here to the United States, or off the coast of the United States, 90 miles at least, in Cuba. The U.S. is reportedly planning.
Okay, I'm going to stop here because I got a different video that I'm going to go to talk about Cuba. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think Taiwan, at least the leadership of Taiwan, is still very much in. I think they're still very much living in the past. And they're if they think that there is even a chance that America can defend Taiwan against China, I just don't think it's possible anymore. And I think that they need to come to that realization if they don't want to send generations of men in their country into a meat grinder that will inevitably have the exact same end result as peaceful reunification. I don't know, man. I hope that, I don't know. Like our ideal situation, like I said, is that America just becomes so weakened and so unable to, like, so on its face, on your face, like unable to defend Taiwan, that that these people have to be forced into reality. They have to be brought. The leadership in Taiwan has to be brought into reality and the understanding that there really isn't anything they can do. And maybe they could make. I mean, maybe if they want independence, maybe they can make a bid to China for independence, like in terms of like, oh, okay, we will no longer allow America's American bases or American military support into our country. We will remove a lot of our we'll remove a lot of our missiles, our armed forces. Like, we'll demilitarize to some respect, and we promise that we will always be neutral between America and China or something. Like, maybe they could do something like that for a bid for independence. I don't know if China would trust it. I don't know if I would trust it, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. There you go, people. There's a nice little I don't know to end that segment on. I hope you learned a lot.